Let's go.
Welcome to the Integrative Edge, your go-to podcast for fresh perspectives on holistic health and functional movement. Join us as we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably.
I'm Kelly Demers, founder of the Integrative Wellness Coalition and the owner of True North Performance.
I'm Lindsay Seefeld, doctor of physical therapy and owner and operator of Uplifted Oncology Rehab.
I'm Dr. Kimberly Klimek, licensed pharmacist and owner of Innate Healing and Performance.
You can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Welcome to the Integrative Edge. This is our first episode. We are talking all things holistic health and functional movement. I am joined today by Dr. Kim and Dr. Lindsay. I'm Kelly Demers, and this first episode is dedicated to our why. Why are we in the businesses that we are in? So I'm not going to hog the spotlight. I'm going to turn it over. Dr. Lindsay, do you want to start?
I can, yes. So I am a physical therapist by background. I knew at a very young age that I loved health. I loved everything health. I hate needles, like hardcore, so I knew nursing was for sure out. I was very into sports younger and just loved everything health. So I just thought that PT was the natural path for me. And so, I started, doing schooling and doing all that. Absolutely love it. At my very first job, I did inpatient and outpatient. Absolutely loved the recovery, like helping patients, through injury, disease, surgery. And it just happened in about 2014, there was just a demand in our department. We needed a lymphatic therapist. And I thought, sure, that's something I could learn. And as soon as I got into it, I just fell in love with it. There's something about the human touch and healing. I just instantly saw changes with my patients at the time. They were improving, and there was a common theme at that time that a lot of patients coming to me had some kind of cancer journey. Cancer is traumatic. There's a lot of things patients go through. And, once I established that I need to do more for these patients, I found a really amazing course out in Denver, Colorado, PORI, P-O-R-I, and I was trained out there by a PT that developed this program, all about how to help rehabilitate someone through cancer. So I got trained in breast health, pelvic and GI, head and neck, and so just began treating these patients, and they were getting better. And I noticed a general theme, and this is what really drove me into wanting to branch off. It's time over time, patients were saying, Lindsay, why did they not send me to rehab sooner? I've been suffering for years and years, and finally I found someone that can help me through this journey. And, just healthcare in general, I feel like we're so focused on, the disease, the illness, what are we doing for these patients as a wellness? What can we do to prevent this? And so those were my two motivations to branch off on my own was, I had that whole wellness aspect. I wanted to get these patients well so they didn't have all these diseases, cancers that, just traumas. And so that's what branched me off into doing it on my own.
Do your clients come to you during their cancer journey while they're in treatment, or do they wait till after?
It's both. I'm a component of let's get started right away. So even at the time of diagnosis, patients establish with me, and we see where you're at, see what's important to you. And it's a friendship that I develop with my patients. Then, yes, we see them through the journey, and then we see them afterwards, whatever path they need. And everybody comes to me at different times. But that's the beauty of, what we do is developing that relationship with our patients. And I love being able to follow them through that complete journey.
Yeah, it's a huge component of I would say our overall why for this whole podcast as well, is just our perspective and our views about prevention versus the term we kind of use in conventional medicine is tertiary care, is just kind of trying to take care of things that have already happened versus trying to be more preventative about it so that we can work on it before it gets to XYZ disease, diagnosis, to cancer, et cetera. Yeah.
Your why? You're up.
Yeah, my why. So, so I'm a licensed pharmacist. And people are probably just wondering, what the heck? Like, you're a licensed pharmacist, so you're kind of in this integrative space now. So yeah, I practice as more of a functional and integrative practitioner. And my why is based off of my own personal health journey. Basically, when I was in my 20s, I was in undergrad struggling with a lot of digestive health issues and period pains, irregular cycles, chronic constipation, acne. I feel like so many people can relate to that.
Right.
It's just something like so many women are struggling with in their early 20s. And most people kind of live their life behind the curtain with those symptoms. So they don't really tell people. I feel like women are like that in general, right? We put on our makeup, do our hair, put on our outfit, and we go out and about even if we're not feeling our greatest or we're taking care of our families and our children and everything, even if we're not personally feeling our best. But I was struggling for a really long time with some of these health issues, and I was in my last year in undergrad, about to go study abroad in Costa Rica for my business minor. I was getting an undergraduate degree to get into pharmacy school. Similar to Lindsay, I was really always interested in kind of math and science, and my mom always had a lot of medical books laying around the house because she did medical transcription. And I had job shadowed a little bit and learned about how pharmacists had a lot of flexibility. I didn't know if I quite wanted to be a doctor. And still to this day, when people call me Dr. Klimek, it makes me feel a little weird, but because I like to be on the same playing level as them, and I don't really like to wear my white coat or things like that. But my mom kind of instilled in me just a little bit of, I would say, love for math and science by having those books laying around in her job. But so I wanted to go to school because I was really interested in medicine and how medicine helps people heal. So I was studying abroad my last year in undergrad, and I had gone to Costa Rica, and about 2 weeks after I gotten back, it was my first little trip, I would say, out of the country. So I wasn't really practicing a lot of I would say health strategies at the time. Nobody was telling me to make sure I didn't make sure I didn't drink water from the faucets or brush my teeth. I wasn't doing any of those practices. So I had acquired some type of bug or some type of infection when I was there. And it was kind of dormant in my body until I got back about 2 weeks later. And a lot of autoimmune health conditions can be triggered by stress. Or some type of viral infection. So that was kind of what was going on. It was never really pinpointed, but I kind of had this little, I would say inflammatory process that happened in my body for about a week. And I had night fevers and night sweats for about a whole week. And then after that kind of subsided, well, mind you, I was the kind of person who my parents told me not to go to the doctor unless I was on my deathbed or something, because it was very expensive. And so here I am in undergrad, just trying to take care of myself in my little home, even though I was feeling sick. So after that subsided for a week, my body kind of fought it off. But then literally I was already kind of dealing with digestive issues before that happened. And then after that happened, it just made it 10 times worse. So I had severe constipation. I was just throwing up food that I was eating. I had lost about 30 pounds in a month. And so I basically started what I called doctoring. And I went around to doctors while I was still finishing my last semester of undergrad. And then I had graduated with my degree, but I was basically going to a doctor appointment almost every weekend or every other weekend, seeing a gastroenterologist, infectious disease, all these people who couldn't really figure out what was going on. And that happened for probably about 9 months. I had been accepted into grad school in Madison, and I was kind of unsure if I was going to go or not, but I ended up just deciding to start school even though I was still kind of sick. And then another long story short, basically a couple months later, I had a referral from a friend. Actually, both of his parents had connections at the hospital systems, and they connected me with one of the top gastroenterology clinics in the country, the Cleveland Clinic. They're kind of similar to like the Mayo clinics. And I went there, and I would say what I would classify as they kind of laid out the red carpet and said, yeah, you have this kind of really rare motility disorder in your digestive tract that really affects your colon. And so at that point they had, mind you, I didn't really know anything about like holistic health or functional like medicine or any of these things that I know now. So long story short, I ended up getting my colon removed like a year and so after that. And so that kind of sparked my health journey. Then when I started gaining weight again, I was having period problems. So started going to OB-GYNs, and they were just kind of telling me you can control your periods by being on birth control. And, I was just looking for further options. And then I finally was pushing a little bit more for them to be looking into something called endometriosis. And that was my ultimate journey, was getting diagnosed with that and having a laparoscopic surgery to remove some scar tissue and adhesions and things all over my reproductive organs. So
And you were pretty young. Like this is like ridiculously young. How old were you? Like probably.
Yeah. I was in my early 20s.
Early 20s.
20,
like,
21.
That's crazy at that age to be dealing with that.
Yeah. One of the things, I know your business is called Innate Healing, right? And you talk a lot about the body's ability to heal itself.
Yeah.
That's where that started. And I'm assuming that's where this started, is that was the start of the journey, right?
Yeah.
To Innate Healing right now.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that, your experiences with the body being able to heal itself?
Yes, I appreciate you saying that, because I just want to bring it full circle. And I really want to just share that piece about my health journey and my history, just to help people understand that you can go through all these things. I mean, I had like multiple surgeries. I've had lots of different organs removed. I had my gallbladder removed. I mean, these were all just repercussions of issues that were going on. I had my, like I said, large intestine removed. I had my gallbladder removed. I had 2 laparoscopic surgeries for endometriosis. All of that between the ages of early 20s to 28. And my why was, I learned that even after my second laparoscopic surgery for endo, I was given a book. I was actually working at the Oneida Community Health Center when I came home from grad school and everything, and I was working outpatient pharmacy, and my friend had given me a book there. I mean, it was an older colleague, and she's like, I know you've gone through so many of these health things, but I think this book can really help you. Maybe you want to look at it from a more of a lifestyle change perspective to see if it can help you with your hormone struggles. And I got that book, and I kid you not, I read it within like 5 days of when she gave it to me. I went home and read it every night after work, and I started implementing those things. And just the lifestyle, it was a couple lifestyle recommendations, nutrition recommendations, and some supplements that I got on. And within the first like month or two of doing some of those lifestyle recommendations, I was already feeling better. And I was like, oh my gosh, there must be something to this. Like, why didn't my doctors ever say any of this stuff? Because I asked time and time again. I'm a very persistent person. I've gone to them and I said, hey, is there anything that I can do that would help prevent these like growths from happening again? Because what you're told is that endometriosis is a lifelong chronic condition, and you just have to manage it. And when it grows back, you can just go get surgery again if you want to, or you can be on birth control, or another one I was told was just to get pregnant, which was a crazy kind of response to control my hormones. I know, like most people are like, yes, I do want to have children, but right now is not the time of my life.
So that was the recommendation?
Yeah, I had an OB-GYN say that to me, and he was one of my surgeons, and I actually really liked his bedside manner, to be honest, for the surgery component, and everything that provided me. It really did provide me a lot of relief and restoration. But I was like, it's now my job to help do things to prevent this again. But no solutions were given to me. So somehow, I know we were talking a lot about like our divine intervention and things, but it was a divine intervention for me because my colleague had given me that book. Then I had applied. I learned about the Institute of Functional Medicine, and I had joined a functional medicine pharmacist alliance because I was like, oh my gosh, I wanna learn what these pharmacists do because I'm really interested in this. So I quickly started Googling. I'm like, there must be, if there's doctors that do functional medicine, there must be pharmacists that do that too. And of course there was. So I joined that alliance right away, and I had applied for a scholarship at Institute of Functional Medicine. I was awarded that scholarship, and that's where my training began. And so I really feel like it was divine intervention. I really had to go through some of these personal health struggles, like most of us,
Right.
our whys, our personal experiences. Long story, but each of us have our whys. But we want to hear about yours, Kelly.
I'm a big fan of short story long.
Right? Oh my gosh, I go back and forth
a couple times, like long story short.
Long
but
story.
I was like,
it could go on for like an hour for sure.
So I'll talk a little bit about my why, and I'll be relatively quick because I want to ask you a couple more questions before we run out of time. Background, when I was little, I was involved in sports, and after organized sports was done, I found myself kind of lost as far as finding a fitness routine and ways to stay healthy. So I was gaining a lot of weight, wasn't able to maintain it. And I really struggled to find a path with functional medicine right now is a big thing. People,
it's a buzzword for sure.
For sure it is. I mean, and people are talking about wellness, but years ago they didn't. And so you were really kind of lost as to finding your own way, finding a plan for you that worked. And then I started exercising almost to an extreme, and I'll cross out the word almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was running marathons regularly, but then putting in like strength training pieces and all kinds of things, because at that point, if you were thin, then you were healthy. Those two things were synonymous, right? That in my mind, that's what it was.
Hey, I'll raise my hand because I was doing all those things in
we
college
just didn't have the education. And it was like, oh, if you're thin, then you're healthy. And that wasn't at all the case. And so I found myself being at my goal weight and just being miserable, hair falling out, brain fog, all of the things that really would suggest not healthy. So I had that component, found my path there, and then I joined a gym and ended up taking over that gym, and then it evolved. And it evolved again after COVID. So during COVID, before COVID, we had regular gym classes. People would come in, they'd work out, get sweaty, and off they'd go. But one of the things that COVID taught us was that when people were coming back in, they were sitting all day and their necks hurt and they weren't able to move. And I'm sure, Lindsay, as a physical therapist, you saw this all the time.
Yes.
My back hurts, my neck hurts. I'm not able, all kinds of things were cropping up. And then we'd get them in the gym and they would be working out and they were getting hurt and they couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
And it was just, it wasn't the smart thing to do, is take somebody that was sedentary the whole day and throw them into these intense workout classes without giving them the education that said, here's why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. And shortly after COVID, we evolved from a gym with classes to a much more personalized approach, which allowed me to marry my own health and wellness journey with the movement piece of that. So my coaches have been through extensive amounts of training on movement, on how to solve for pain and injury and get people moving in a direction that allows them to be well, that allows them to be well and live pain-free lives. One of the things that we came up as we were talking earlier was about, I asked the question, sometimes it's really hard being in business where you find yourself at a loss, right? And you're thinking to yourself, why am I doing this? Like, this is just too much. I could clock in at a 9 to 5 and collect my paycheck, go home, live a good life. Why am I doing all of this extra stuff? And my specific question was, have you had that thought? And then what were the signs that you were given to show you that you were actually on the right path? You want to start with this one?
Well, it's like, and just to kind of keep going, I guess, with mine, and like the reason for Innate was that it was like your body is totally capable of healing. And like I said, I share my little, I call it my little shitstorm journey with people, is because now here I am. Literally, we're recording this, and I'm about to leave to go to New Zealand for a 2-week trip, and I'm about to compete in a half Ironman in Tapo, and my body is in the best shape of its life that I've ever been in, health-wise too. I mean, I was just telling you guys walking in here, I'm like, oh yeah, I just got my period right on time, day 28. We say these things. Super open about all those things, like hormones and everything. But I'm just like, I've never been more happy in my life because I have like just nice regular cycles. They're not painful. I can predict, like, how I understand my body, and I lean into the phases of my cycle, and I understand like how that's going to affect my movement, my energy levels, my sleep. And so those are the types of things that once you understand that and you can kind of harmonize those things within your body, like your body is just unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah, and mine is just, oh man, I really feel like it's the clients, the patients that I've worked with. I mean, when somebody's going through cancer, even like I do a lot of lymphatic work, somebody's having these health conditions, they are looking for alternatives. They're looking for something different. And it's just especially when I work with them and they're changing, and we get very emotional. Like they become family. Sure. They become like true family. And, when they're telling me like, Lindsay, like, oh my gosh, I can get my life back. I can do the things I, want to do. Like, I don't have to live with this pain anymore. I can reach into a cupboard without having tearing in my shoulder. Like, it's big. It's what really drives you. And, like even from a wellness aspect, women are coming to me with, breast concerns, and, to be able to give them the tools they need to better their breast tissue. Like, oh my goodness, they reduce the risk of developing, diseases, cancers, and all that. And we don't have that otherwise. I mean, They don't have that in the traditional healthcare setting, that we can really help guide them to help better wellness, better care.
Yeah. Though those personal messages from clients really,
they're huge.
Keep the momentum going with small business for sure.
That's what I shared earlier. Was every time I've had that thought, like, this is, why are you doing this? Unsolicited, someone has come to me and said, this has changed my life.
Yes.
I wasn't able to play in the yard with my kids, and now I am. I wasn't able to garden, and now I am. And we had a client that was a double knee replacement, and I remember her coming back from a weekend, and she goes, I hiked with my husband this weekend. We took the dogs for a walk. Normally what we did was we would drive out to Dora County. It'd be a really pretty spot. I would sit on the picnic table. He would take the dog for a walk, and then we'd leave. And for the first time, not only was she able to join him on the walk, but she was pushing him to go a little bit further. So think messages like that they reinforce the why you're here, why this is important, why these things matter. And I think as we talked about the importance of this podcast, getting all of our views together and really sharing that and allowing other people to fold into our why is a big deal.
Yeah. Just to give them hope, that's, I think, beautiful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your story. Thank you to Dr. Kim. Thank you to Dr. Lindsay. I am Kelly Demers, and we will close out session 1. If you haven't already subscribed, please join us. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, and you'll never miss an episode. See you next week.